Greetings and welcome to Out of Noise with your hosts Stella B
and Nat Nye.
Yes, this is where we are talking about trending subjects, and every week we bring our piece
to the mic
because there's a lot going on out there, and it's a bit noisy. And we are poets, people of extraterrestrial substance, so we need to just
bring our extraterrestrial magic to the screens, to your screens.
So thank you for tuning in, family. Welcome back. So what's been happening in the week that night?
This is the festive season that we are currently in. So the dramas of the world continues. But within the midst of the dramas and such, there's a time where we get together, families get to reconnect and actually probably feel most relaxed in terms of connecting for the first time in 2 years because of the whole COVID situation that impacted us. So we've been having an opportunity to be connecting, to eat heartily, to buy, to wrap ourselves in or dive into commercialism and just buy stuff, presents, mostly for the children. But also it's a time when people feel more charitable, I think, this part of the year. So people will be donating their energy or donating their money towards those that are less fortunate.
Yeah, I was thinking when we went to Granddad's this year for that day because my granddad's 99. So and it's tradition for us. It's become our tradition, really. Me and my king, we go to Granddad's for Christmas, and unless we're in Africa, which we were in 2019. That was the most special Christmas day ever.
Yes.
Ghana. But and I was talking to my cousin, and shout out to Priye, you watching this, about doing like homeless shelter, because I've always wanted to do that, because for a long time I've been disillusioned by this day, like Christmas Day and Christmas, the whole kind of commercialism of it, and the kind of like disattachment from like reality when it comes to like creating this magical day really for the children. It's really about the children, in terms of like the magic and the presents and the tree and all of that kind of stuff. But as you get older, you quickly, you're like, bah humbug, you quickly become the Grinch, really.
We have become, certainly.
I think most people secretly are the Grinch, because it doesn't take away from the cost of living, doesn't take away from that annual speech, but that what do you call that, the monarch, and like thinking, gosh, look at this person sat on the throne talking about all these economic stuff, and like it's just so weird. And then you just see the adverts for what they are, which is just to manipulate you to buy more. And then even with the food things, like this year, like you're cooking and you're cooking on a budget, and you're feeling the pressure of the day in that kind of way. So the spirit of it was just I just liked being with my family. But I'd rather do like some homeless shelter, like feeding the homeless and stuff like that. I think if I'm not in Africa with you next year, and I'm here, then I think that's what I'm gonna book for.
Yeah, I mean, it is a time where the commercialism is at its peak. I think like at this period where we are attacked with commercialism pretty much throughout the year, right? Consume, but it crescendos around Christmas, and there is, as you say, with the adverts, there's an emotional pressure to especially for the children, to make their Christmas magical. But when you lift up the veil and such, you see actually, as you mentioned, the cost of living that is not being solved. I feel like the entities with the most ability and power to be most given around this particular time don't actually demonstrate it at all. It's more the people to be like that. So what I mean is that what is okay, so for example, I did hear that Asda, I think it was Asda, instead of throwing away their food, they offered it out for free. That's a good step in the right direction, but that's a good step in the right direction. But other supermarkets could have done that. What stops them from doing that? And what we have to point out here is that basically these entities, the gas, British Gas, E.ON, EDF, each of these entities, what about their Christmas gift to the people and chopping or giving huge discounts for the gas and electric bills?
Yeah, I mean,
this is what I'm saying, that basically they're making billions. So when you're talking about cost of living, we are not under that pressure. They are not under the pressure of cost of living. These big, huge entities. In fact, they're making record profits. So where's their Christmas spirit in terms of giving?
I mean, yeah, it's that's what I'm getting at. That's what adds to the kind of, the kind of like meh feeling, because it's like, all of these, you
can't unsee what you've seen.
Yeah, you can't. And it's like all of these, like you're saying, the corporations that exist, that, okay, Amazon, how much more money do Amazon make during Christmas period? Wow. Like we can only imagine, like everyone's just shopping online and getting their deliveries and trying to get their last minute things. And do you know what I mean? Like Amazon must be nuts during this time of year. I don't know the figures, but we can look that up. But like you said, I don't read about what they're doing extra. Shout out to, well done Asda for doing that. I think during COVID there was, I can't remember, there was a need for like shelter at one point. Do you remember?
No.
And I feel like they were setting things up in like one of the stations, the train stations, maybe like 2 years ago.
Asda was?
Not Asda, no, not Asda.
Okay.
But more of them need to just rally round and do more, like actually make it a big deal during this time of year, like looking into homelessness. Like they all should unify on that very basic, human right of shelter during the most cold part of the year, especially in the spirit of giving and celebrating family and togetherness, etc. Like it was jokes seeing Rishi Sunak on that Twitter feed that you sent me, the one you showed me on Christmas.
He was in a homeless shelter, and he was basically offering out dinner to serving dinner to the homeless.
Yeah, well done for that.
I mean, I mean, do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it was funny because the reason why you showed me is because he went and asked the person he was serving, like, what's your plans for Christmas Day? And he's like, I'm homeless, bruv. Like, so it was this kind of disattachment from the reality.
Yeah, and then he went on to talk about
joining. Well, he does say for himself that he's interested in finances, to be fair to Rishi for that, but he's like talking to him about like, you should get into finance. Like the disconnect of like who you're talking to, like what, why is he in the situation of like that he's in, that he's having to like be fed during this period. Like he doesn't think like that. Rishi Sunak doesn't.
So is someone like that with that type of mentality and that detachment fit to be Prime Minister?
But that's who's always been Prime Minister, is people that are disattached from the people. That's always who's been in that position. I think if it had been different and somehow Jeremy Corbyn or that type of character, who was the other one that was very similar to Jeremy Corbyn and had a similar attack from the media? Whose child was completely like not the same. He had the opportunity to stand.
His name's not gone into
in
out
spirit.
Of yeah,
I'll remember. But it's like those are the type of people that are with the people. They really actually care. But because money is the game, right? And politics has never been about the people, really. It's about controlling the people, not really about benefiting the people or helping the people to blossom and be our best selves and all of that hoity-toity stuff that you grow up believing in, like that is not what the people in power are about.
Exactly, they're not. And this is the thing, for a country that has stolen so much of the world's wealth, where is their giving to their very own population? Spread the wealth, right? You've stolen a whole lot of it. The least you can do is make sure that your people are okay. And we're in a time, so this is why, like, Rishi Sunak in that position, it was obviously a PR stunt, right? He doesn't care about these people. The detachment is real. He does not care. And he's in that position for the PR and completely unaware of how this actually looks. Him as the Prime Minister. And as you say, do you know what? Then none of them are any different. They see people as numbers, really and truly. And when they're in front of the camera, they say what they got to say to get those numbers to support them. But in reality, in real terms, they don't do anything that is going to actually benefit the people in any significant way. If X amount of people, percentage-wise, is suffering, that is factored into the way they're governing this country. And they will rather spend and support, and by spend I mean actually support, major corporations to make billions upon billions with ineffective services, then to redistribute that will benefit the people as a whole.
I think they've just got projects that they invested in, you know, like not only making private investments for themselves, like through private prison investments, etc., but also the Marines. Wow, like they have invested billions into that in the last few years, and like we're saying, there's all these people, there's cost of living, but it's like those projects are more important than the human beings.
Well, yeah, so they put that down to national defense, right? We've got to defend our borders. We've got to make sure that our military is strong and all that nonsense. But who for? That's the question. Who's that for? You're defending, first of all, who you defending against? And secondly, who you defending for? Because if your people are struggling to eat, if your people are living in substandard living circumstances, or they're not in any kind of they're forced to live on the street because they ain't got nowhere to stay, who's this actually for? Or is it the real truth is that there's serious class issues, and this country is really meant for, or the nation as it is meant to protect and serve those at the very top, but the people who are from the mid to below, they're seen as collateral.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, I think that is what the system of this version of capitalism is feudalism secretly. Really, it's like the people, the rich own the land, they own all the wealth and everything on it, and the people that are the workers essentially can keep that going, but until robots come, and when the robots come, then they're really surplus to requirements. So it's like, yeah, just
so I'm glad you mentioned that, Stella. And this is something that came up this week, right? McDonald's in the States have actually
got a full McDonald's that is just pure robots, pure automated. Like, that's nuts, bruv. What is making your burger? That's nasty. I don't really. Oh no, bruv. That just is sickening. It's quite scary because it's like you can literally see a horror film like that where a human gets stuck in the building for the night. Oh wait,
I don't want that. Stop, please.
No, like in it, like the human gets stuck in the building for the night, and then all these gadgets are just popping off doing their thing. Like the good person's got to try and get out, and the thing's like automated to try and kill any vermin, and it sees humans as vermin. That's the story.
Look, if anyone picks up that script, let's at least give Stella a 10%. Yeah, okay.
10%. But like, they're not going to put that out there because they want everyone to love the robot. Love the robot. Cute little robot. Yeah.
I mean, there's been many a dystopic film and books written that is talking about AI takeover. And what we're seeing is like, it's not even a future anymore. I'm saying that's we've had the Amazon stores already, right? Where you can just walk in, get your shop and walk out without actually having to interact with any human being. That has existed for what, 2 years now or more. We've seen them more pop up like down different streets. And this McDonald's, that's the first one that we've seen. But I'm saying this time next year, there's going to be loads of McDonald's and other fast foods like that. So the AI takeover is in the midst of happening right now as we speak.
Yeah, no, I'm fully functioning. Like, it's we have to kind of get with the reality of that. Like, so, you know, it is about educating yourself as to what that is about. Where can you upskill so that you're not at a deficit at a point, and, you know, trying to find ways where you can fit in, because there's still going to be ways that humans are needed. But those what kind of jobs can you call them? Remedial jobs, or, you know, like being a shop assistant and all of that kind of stuff. Those are the areas where they really want to just make people surplus to requirement. We don't need you anymore. We'll just, because you need sleep, you need you need a rest, you need to go home and come back. Whereas a robot,
you need living wage.
You need a living wage. Whereas these things, you just operate off the fact that as long as it's functioning, it's well oiled, then it's fine. It can go on for 24 hours, but
instead of paying the people properly, and this is the thing, there is no responsibility. And you have certain sectors of society that will be like, well, it's just business. And it's like, does it have to be so heartless for the very people that make the business function itself? Without these workers, McDonald's workers, for example, without these workers, McDonald's cannot exist as it does today. It cannot. So those people have to be considered, or should be considered. But there's a certain heartlessness that is attached to the defense of these big corporations like McDonald's. And yes, we are in the midst of those type of jobs being taken over, but also the other type of jobs as well. The more AI can do, the less there is a need for human beings. So we're in a time now where being particularly skilled in the area is what's going to define you. And also humanitarian or skills that reach the human being that AI cannot replicate are going to be very, very much more important. But the more clinical, the more mundane type of roles, we're in the midst of it. We're at the I wouldn't even say the beginning. I'd say the beginning was really the self-service machines, and that's been going on for over a decade now. But things are gradually being taken over, and not enough of this is being spoken about on a mainstream level at all, really. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is something that is quite serious, and I'd like us to be even talking more upon this as the episodes roll by, because it is very serious. You don't want to be deemed surplus to requirements as a human being. That's very, very dangerous in this type of world.
Yeah, you need to. There's purpose, Nia. Nia is one of the principles of Kwanzaa. You like what I did there? Because we're going to be talking about a little bit about Kwanzaa. Not an alternative to Christmas, but it is something for the black community to actually be unified under as this period it takes place. So as this festive period takes place, how do we culturally embrace our Africanness wherever we are? And Kwanzaa is the answer to that. So in that principle, Nia, which means purpose in Swahili. So purpose, we all need to know or feel connected to a sense of purpose. It's what drives us to get up every single day and make things happen towards this goal or this mission of life. What about all these young ones growing up thinking that the mission in life is just to be, liked on social media or, influencing, but not doing much more than being able to master a couple of moves in a short frame of time? Like, purpose is much bigger and grander, and purpose does connect you to the all, to everything. To the nature, to this world that we live in and to each other. But when they want to remove that sense of you know, what is it that what's your career going to be? What do you want to be when you grow up? Or now, what do you want to be known for? You know, what are you here for? These are the questions that are going to be having certain people you know, scratching their heads like, I don't actually know. It's like that series Humans that came on a few years back. It's like a Scandinavian series that they remade here on Channel 4 called Humans, and it's like these robots basically who have their seed memory bank, and basically all the actual real people, the young kids and that, don't have any like use. They just feel like useless. There's like no point to them because the robots do everything. And you know, that's kind of like where this thing could be headed, but it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't absolutely have to be that way at all. And as you said, our purpose, it's important to find that if you haven't got it, and then that will shape your destiny and our collective destiny as well, because this world is amazing. It is magnificent. There's so much to it. Most of us don't get to explore it, actually. Most of us, or explore her. Most of us are, if you're living in a city, or if you're living wherever you are living, that is pretty much your beginning and end. Like, most people don't get a chance to explore it. So on a more positive, if we're heading in the direction of utopia, where the mundane tasks, job roles that are only there for the purpose of making money and nothing else, they're not fulfilling, they're not uplifting of the soul, they're not making you a better human being in any other way, then we have an opportunity with the AI takeover to free us up to explore our inner worlds, to explore the world and the universe. Essentially, that is what it gives us the opportunity to do. So, you know, again, a certain sector of society are allowed to have positions of advance in the world, right? They are deemed the most intelligent. They are deemed as at the forefront of humanity. Therefore, they have the keys to the future. So one example of that is Elon Musk. Elon Musk has been granted with government funding, in particular from the United States. If I dig deeper, I wouldn't be surprised if other governments have also supported his ventures. He is an example of somebody who's been put in a position to take human beings to advance us to another level. We need more of us in those type of positions, because democracy, if we're living in a true democracy, then everyone should have a right to decide where the world enters. It shouldn't be in the select few that we don't actually have a say in. And also the spread of intelligence, the diversity of intelligence, that have the ability to decide what happens next for ourselves and our future generations. Then, you know, we need to be in that position, and we can be in that position if we're not in a world that is dictated by dictates your freedom and dictates your purpose by money. So what I mean is that basically, for the sake of money, many people give up on their dreams. And your dreams is normally, especially if your dreams is a pure dream, it's normally entwined with your purpose, with your gift. So we're very spiritual. So we have understanding of the Most High. The Most High grants each of us abilities and talents. Those talents are meant to be harnessed. They're meant to be used. They're meant to be expressed, not suppressed. And we live in a society that suppresses those. You have to fight really, really hard to make your dreams happen. You have to fight to express the essential core of your soul. That is what these talents are meant to be. So, that's on a more utopic way. But I feel we should talk about, okay, we're Pan-Africans. So as Pan-Africans, Christmas is not something that we adhere to, but in the spirit of being with our family, we'll join in. Kwanzaa is a Pan-African celebration, as you articulated earlier. Kwanzaa is a Pan-African celebration that starts from the 26th of December right up until New Year's Day, and it was started by Maulana Karenga in 1966. And it basically, as Stella articulated earlier, is an opportunity for Africans in the diaspora to connect with their African selves and adhere to African principles across these 7 days, essentially. This is an African diaspora that has been removed from their state of Africanness or African beings through transatlantic enslavement of African people. So Maulana Karenga is an African of the American heritage, essentially. He's an African living in America, and he understood the need for African Americans and Africans in the diaspora to connect with their African selves. So therefore, Kwanzaa exists, and Kwanzaa is an amalgamation. It's a fusion of different African principles that he's put together. And when you mention Nia purpose, that is one of them. So Nguzo Saba is the 7 days. Umoja is the first day, the 26th. That means unity. You got Kuji Kagilia, which is self-determination. You have Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility.
Like that. You have to say it again.
Kuji.
It's like the Disney
Well, you turned out to be right with that.
Yeah. How do you say it? Because this is okay. This is very important for us, because what I want to do is kind of like show everyone that, you know what, it can be foreign, like to step into these avenues and these spaces, you know, like as a black person you want to feel more connected. Oh, what's Kwanzaa? You know, you're not really feeling the Christmas thing, or the maybe the religion of like Christianity or anything, even though Kwanzaa is not a religious celebration, because it doesn't want to take away from people who are in the church. People who are in the church can actually celebrate Kwanzaa. That's the point of it. It's actually just to enhance the African spiritual or African culture that has been lacking, because culture leads to the principles, and as Africans we have specific types of principles that are connected to us that has been severed over, you know, the centuries of our Holocaust. So all that to say, the pronunciation is something that can blockade people, can make people feel like, oh, you know, people gonna laugh at me, or people gonna judge me, or think that I don't know, you know, like I get that feeling, or I had that feeling when I was first entering the kind of Pan-African space, or trying to re-find myself and my African roots, etc. Even people will be like, what do you mean find your African roots? You're Nigerian. It's like, no. A lot of Nigerians need to go on a deep quest to find themselves, you know what I mean, in terms of what is being an African and what does that mean. So like, it's good for us to kind of show that, yeah, we too struggle with pronunciations, we too are learning and have to embrace this further than where we are at currently. So let's go.
Absolutely. Even though every part of my being is like, edit this out. So basically, if we're going to go from the top again, so Nguzo Saba is the 7 principles that carry through the day from the 26th to the 1st of the next year, 1st of January. Umoja is the first day. It means unity, and the practices of unity is among family, community, nation and race. Then you've got Kuji Chagulia, which is self-determination. It is to define and name ourselves as well as create and speak for ourselves. This is very important, and this comes up a lot when it comes to Africans of the diaspora, in particularly renaming themselves. So recently, from Sister Space, Ngozi Fulani, she was attacked. Not only the incident itself with Lady Hussey, right? It wasn't only just the incident itself where she was interrogated about her identity and who she is. Like, people do this reduction thing on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, which is very infuriating on social media as a whole, where they will take a whole incident and reduce it down to one thing. Oh, she was merely asking. She was just asking, where are you from? And Ngozi Fulani just flipped out. She started snatching wigs and all that kind of stuff. That's how they made it out to be. That was not the case. That is not what happened. She was interrogated about her identity. It was the persistence.
You had those coons among us. Oh, I wouldn't have minded if they asked me where I'm from. No.
Well, that's the reduction I'm talking about, because it's like, it wasn't just one question, it was an interrogation. And those ones who are up for the coonery buffoonery, I would wonder, right, if they were interrogated in that way. So their first answer wasn't acceptable, their second answer was acceptable, their third answer wasn't acceptable, their fourth answer wasn't acceptable, whether they would be like, oh yeah, I keep on asking me. Like, no, I don't think so. So she suffered that interrogation, she aired it out as she should have. Big up to her for that. And then the subsequent racism across that was just going on wild.
Had to close for a bit. I think their fundraiser is going quite well now, but they had to actually halt their taking or seeing people over the period of the football, which is like a really serious time for domestic abuse. But yeah, they were, Sister Ngozi was really attacked after that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually reopened. For the safety, for her safety, for the safety of the staff and for the Sister Space as a whole.
It's really peak times.
She held
really
back.
Peak times right now.
Yeah, and basically, my point of even bringing that up is that one of the attacks on social media that I saw was like, her real name is blah blah blah, and it's like. So basically, I mean, Shakara, big up to Shakara, because Shakara said this is what we were seeing is like a sort of lashing of Kunta Kinte. So a proverbial lashing of Kunta Kinte. No, your name is Toby. And when you are from the diaspora and you've had your name, your literal name, stripped away from you, and your tongue, that which is your language, stripped away from you, your spirituality stripped away from you, all of these different forms of what makes who you are, you discover that, and then you're like, do you know what? I will find myself an African name that can fill me with pride, with a sense of being of who I am, because this name comes directly from an enslaver. I don't want that name. I want to be able to define myself.
Screaming from inside to like, change the name.
Change. That's exactly what it is. And so it takes a brave step to do that. It takes mind, body, and soul in terms of to do that, to actually to carry through and change your name in that such way. This is not. I don't want this to be misconstrued. If you choose, I go by Nat Nai, right? Nat Nai is not an African name, and I do want an African name.
Akhenaten. Akhenaten.
No, not Akhenaten.
Wasn't it?
No.
Okay, no.
It wasn't Akhenaten.
Oh no, when was it?
There was a period of time when I was calling on Tahaka.
Tahaka.
Yeah, not Akhenaten.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's debate about Akhenaten.
Yeah. And so basically, I want an African name for that same reason that I've just said, like a sense of pride. Like, I do feel it's important to go by an African name, just like any other group of people, feel the sense of pride to walk with a name that does not come from an enslaver. And I'm saying, I don't want it to be misconstrued, because if you do not have those feelings, there are many great people amongst us that do carry European names, and their sense of identity is strong within themselves. That's fine. But I'm saying, when people do make that step, it is to be considered a brave step, and to be attacked for making that step and being like, no, your name is this, no, your name is that, that is wrong. And the principle of self-determination is an important one, because first and foremost, how you feel about yourself is important. How you define yourself in this world is very important. Number one.
The other aspects of the self-determination, Kuji Ka Jilia.
Yeah, you can say it with more confidence, actually.
Kuji Ka Jilia is the aspect of the all, so the community self-determination. The reason why Kwanzaa is so important is because culturally it's about the empowerment and do for self attitude as a oneness, as a community. So economics comes into that. Self-determination is also about all of us understanding that we are the only ones that are going to get us out of these economic problems that we found ourselves in, by taking our own accountability for our lives, by putting our community first, and understanding that we are overall humanity, but also we are our own group of Africans that have to do for self. So that's another part of the Kujika Jilia principle.
Exactly. Self-determination, exactly all of that. The next one, Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. So it's literally what you just said. So they lead on to each other. And so once you have a defined identity of who you are, your ability, therefore, or understanding of the importance of collective work and responsibility to the collective as a whole now increases. Nyla's decided to get up, and I don't know if she's I don't know if she was in the camera in the shot, or she was blocking. But yeah.
No, you can't go there.
And also, I think the camera's turned a little bit. Let's see, I have to see if you're still going to be in shot. Okay. What, the actual stop button? Yeah.
Okay, so Nat and I, we were talking about the principles of Kwanzaa. We were on the third one.
We're on the third one of Nguzo Saba. And that was Ujima, collective work and responsibility. So collective work and responsibility, I was saying, once we are self-defined, we know who we are, then it attaches. We're Pan-African because we understand who we are. We understand the importance of what it means to be an African. And we want Africa to rise, and we want African people to rise. And we understand that as the only way that's going to happen is when we actually decide it happens. We can't rely on any other beings, and we understand that what is key to doing that is being African. So the collective work and responsibility is ties into the philosophies of Ubuntu. I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. So it's a thinking of, if there are those of us that are less fortunate than we have a responsibility to rise them up. We have a responsibility for each other. There's an amazing story of these children you know the one where basically they are put in a race and they have to, like any race, the winner gets it all type thing, and the children ran together to ensure that nobody won, so that they could all split amongst themselves. And I can't remember where in Africa that was, but basically that's the philosophy that we're tapping into here. It's collective work and responsibility. After that is Ujamaa. Ujamaa means cooperative economics. So
yeah, like the susu back in the day, or the partner. And this is why Kwanzaa is so great, because it is, if you have this as an annual practice every single year without fail, you begin to have within you and the community's psyche, now this is what we do, and this is what we always did, but it was kind of removed from us through all of the fragmentation that has happened, principally. But as we become more Pan-African, as we become more kind of focused on ourselves and doing for self and fixing our problems ourselves, then when we think about partners, when we think about the susu, when we think about collective cooperative responsibility, this is a principle, me and that we talk about this all the time, in terms of all the different businesses kind of connecting under a guild. And if you're all of the same, say you're all doing cosmetics, all these individual shops, you all need shea butter, you all need hydrochloric acid, I don't know, whatever it is en masse, but you all buy together, you put your money together, and you support each other to stay up, even if you want to have your individual names and brands, which eventually that could all be under one, if you could all come to that collective understanding that the overall purpose is that the economic wealth is going to be distributed, which is another part of that principle. So
absolutely, and brilliantly put. So basically, it's not just an African principle. We observe this amongst every other group of people. In fact, we see it in real terms. With us, as Stella is saying, we've been fragmented, and there's been many challenges as to us rebuilding our own Black Wall Street around the world. But with other groups of people, you see them literally practice this and build wealth together, essentially. And basically, survival of the fittest relies on the strength of the collective. And as human beings, economics is centered to that. Economics is absolutely centered to that. So, yeah, that is Ujamaa. And especially this time, Ujamaa. And especially this time right now, where we are talking about cost of living crisis. So we are talking about, beyond cost of living crisis, the challenge of the AI taking over jobs and such. We as a people have had ownership issues for too long. So this is something that is critical for us now and for the future generations to practice group economics, essentially. The next one after Ujamaa is Nia. Nia, as Stella said earlier, is purpose.
Know yourself.
Know yourself. Don't need to go into that one anymore, because we've spoken a lot about purpose already. But essentially, your talent, your gifts, is not for you. It is yours to give. That is what it's meant to do, and you give these talents to uprise everybody else, essentially. Kuumba, Kuumba. That's right. That is creativity.
That's my zone. I love the creativity.
So we as a people are very, very creative. If there's one thing African people, whether it's continental Africans or Africans in the diaspora, are known for in this world as it stands right now, is our creativity. It's our swag, it's our style, it's our magic that we bring it's what we're known for.
Yeah, the manifestation of things, you know, bringing forth your idea from the internal to the external.
Yeah, and the creativity. So our contribution to culture through music, through food, through the colors of the clothes that we wear. Like it's that we are the ones that make things look good. Yeah. Right? That's what we do. We make things look good. Everything we're a part of, we make it we just bring some magic to it. We bring some. When our footballers are celebrating, they're dancing, right? Unless they play for England and so.
Who's this?
Oh, is that Harry Kane? That's a random shot at Harry Kane.
Sorry.
Well.
Yeah, no, take that. Take that out. That was uncalled for.
But yeah, unless you're England, then you know, like the African Brazilians, they're dancing, they're celebrating. Same things when it comes to, right? On the continent, when the Africans are scoring, they're doing backflips and somersaults and the mad acrobatics as a celebration. This is what we do. But you know, even in the tech world, we create so much that we don't even know about, like inventions and stuff like that as well. Like the intellectual property has been the issue, but we have created a lot of the things that are empowering this planet today. Absolutely, that's very true as well, and that's something to be recognized. The amount of African inventors of this world that have been hidden. But yeah, Kuumba, it talks on making things more beautiful. It talks on making things more stylish. It talks on enhancing that aspects of creativity.
And because Kwanzaa really is about family and connecting, especially the unity of family, but also with the children, and the focus being on the children, that is an opportunity to make this an inclusive part of the festivities, so you can create together with the children. You know, you can make arts and crafts that explain what Kwanzaa is, and you can create, maybe there's a play or something like that. You know, if you're into like acting, you can do that with children, or you make songs. But whatever it is, it's like it gives that opportunity for making it more fun and have that verb and all of that.
That's right. And basically the last one is Imani. Imani means faith. So that is essentially, it's not a spiritual faith as Stella said earlier. It's faith, the belief that we will end our struggle. That's what it essentially means. We have the confidence in ourselves, in each of us as well. So ourselves as in you and I, and ourselves as in you, and ourselves as our people, that the struggle will end. The struggle of racism, the various different struggles of life will end, and we will therefore exist in prosperous happiness.
Yes. No, very, very, very. I believe it. I will it. I believe it. I know it. I have to know it, because that's a true part of, a massive part of our purpose as a couple. We have to have that faith, Imani, in a future where we are walking tall, upright, and as people, we do not need to beg, we do not need to ask for breath, and plead for justice or beg for anyone for anything. We just live, and we live free and happy, and all our people are expressive, creative, and just contributing and recognizing for the contributions to this planet that we keep safe, because we are the custodians of this planet.
Absolutely. And so Kwanzaa, just to wrap up, Kwanzaa is practiced, as we said, it's been going on for decades in the United States of America. It happens here in the United Kingdom. It's also been going on for decades. Around this time, there are several different events that happen that teach on the education of Kwanzaa. We also have it practiced in Jamaica, in France, Canada and Brazil, and probably more nations that, you know, if we did some more research, we'd know who else is practicing it. And I just want to make a point that basically with Maulana Karenga, who's the founder of this, there are controversies with him. I don't really want to go into it per se, but this is an example of focusing on what this actually means. So the message is more important than the messenger. And I say this because there's two things, two critiques that I mostly hear. Is the first one is they go into his character and they find out certain things that may or may not be true, and that's a reason as to not practicing Kwanzaa. But we will practice in other things. Contradictions can be held up. We'll practice in other things that have foulness at its core. At its core, we'll practice in those things, and normally there's some form of justification as to why we do practice in those things. So we mentioned cost of living crisis, how certain major corporations are making billions of profit whilst people suffer. We will still contribute to those same corporations, and some of us will even put ourselves in denial as to why we continue to support those corporations. Or there'll be certain fashion labels, fashion designers that do some horrific things, and we will still buy from them. So that one there is not a one of like, oh, because we have to. That's one where you want to, because you like what you like, and you still do that. So this is an opportunity for us to embrace our Africanness, and the message is always more important than the messenger. Always. If the messenger is amazing and the messenger is, when it comes to a human being, is on the higher end of what it means to be a human being, great. But still, the message is more important than the messenger. Always. Humans are capable of, are not flawless. The message, though, is or it can be.
Well, yeah, it is.
And no, go on, because I was going to say a separate point. I was going to say something.
No, it is. It really is the message. The message of Kwanzaa is a powerful one of unity, of economic empowerment, of spirituality, and essentially through the symbolism and the disciplines that go alongside that. That's what it all connects to. So Kwanzaa, look it up for your families, especially if you have young families. You know, instill within them this value and these principles that can help them connect with, you know, a language outside of English or French or whatever kind of colonial tongue, and can help them connect in a creative way to the idea of harking home to Africa, like having Africa in the heart and growing with these ideas and ideologies in a disciplined way. So just like when you're thinking of at the end of the year, here comes Christmas and you're going to spend and you're going to do all that, you know, it's the same annual coming round too, but it's Kwanzaa now, and these are the principles that we're going to adhere to. Don't be like, oh, it's spooky, oh, it's this, or they're practicing that, they're burning candles and all of that kind of stuff. It's like, read up on it, understand it, and then practice it with your families.
That's right. And the last point basically is, yeah, the critiques of it, like, oh, it's not real, it's manufactured as well, like this is not real African.
Christmas isn't real, guys. No, can I just say, that is the last thing you should use as an excuse. Like, it's just because it's the length of time that you've been doing it and known about it, and that generationally it's been passed on. That's what Kwanzaa will become. The reason why Kwanzaa is quite exceptional, is because it's these is a length of time. It's not just one day, and each day represents a principle, so you have to learn about it to participate. So that just helps alleviate from people just going for like, oh, Kwanzaa Day, let's just buy gifts. But Christmas was like that once, guys, you know, made up. Essentially, it's not really Jesus's birthday. Let me just say, if that's what you thought.
Exactly. And so, yeah, with Kwanzaa, yeah, exactly that. And so those of us who are continental Africans, and specify,
yeah, it's so nuts seeing Christmas in Africa. It's just weird, like seeing the Father Christmas and all of that. It's just so funny to me. But yeah,
right, and that's embraced. Is exactly that. And also, this is an opportunity if you are connected, if you do know your indigenous culture, customs and practices and spirituality, if you know all of that, for example, if you're from the continent and you do know that, this is an opportunity for you to embrace that, to learn more about that. If there's those of us that can speak any of those languages, for example, Ijo or Yoruba, then this is an opportunity. If you're saying, oh look, Kwanzaa, I need to actually hone in on my own, this is an opportunity for you to do that, because let's not pretend that those cultures, customs, traditions and practices haven't been laid to the wayside, and for the European dominance over them to be more prioritized. And in fact, there's a certain stigma attached to even practicing certain cultural norms beyond the food. But even the food, if you're in a diaspora, even the food is under challenge. So this is an opportunity for us to embrace our African selves. It's just an opportunity, and I say that I use the word opportunity because more time there's national holidays. So it's easier now to embrace this time period when you have time off. And if you're like, oh, I've got my own, I know who I am, then this is an opportunity for you to dive deep into your one. If you're of the diaspora and you don't know your direct, then the blessing is that you get to practice in Kwanzaa and you get to explore an amalgamation of different African set of belief systems that connect with who you are. Because when we go even further and further back into time, we go centuries into the millennia or whatnot, you see it all fuse into one anyway.
Yeah, so that's us pretty much for this episode of Out of Noise, bringing our piece to the mic. Hopefully giving you a little bit of education or understanding of Kwanzaa and why, as a black person, you should look into it at the very least. It doesn't discriminate if you are Islamic or if you're Christian or Hindu. If you're Hindu? Islamic or if you're any of the faith, you could be Buddhist. Maxi Jazz, I wanted to actually dedicate this episode to Maxi Jazz, who has unfortunately passed. Big up to him. We are enjoying some faithless music currently, and just harking back to who he was musically, poetically as well. So rise in power. But yeah, on that note, do join us next week for another episode of Out of Noise, where we will bring our piece to the mic. If you enjoyed this, please do subscribe, share this video, and like. And the description below will also contain the way that you can buy us a coffee. If you buy us a coffee, we'll be able to do a lot more of these episodes going forward. We are going to anyway. We're going to keep bringing our piece to the mic.
Ashe.
Asheo. Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa and festivities.
Nkechi, come make we gum body. I don't dread this.